Welcome to another episode of Watching Ben Breakdance. Just kidding. This is another episode of the Quiet Out Loud. We have a wonderful guest with us today. Though I say all of our guests are wonderful because they're willing to give us 15 to 20 minutes of their time to do this. But per our normal disclaimer, our guests' opinions are their own. They are representing themselves. Their opinions are subject to change, so they should not be held in perpetuity. Additionally, as they are representing themselves, they're not representing the companies that they may or may not be working at now or in the future, or past companies as well. So with that out of the way, would love to introduce our guest. Take it away.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm Jake. I am a brand and content marketer working primarily in the B2B tech space. I live in Salem, Massachusetts, and I'm also kind of a horror movie nerd. It's my fun fact.
Great place to be if you're a horror movie nerd.
Yeah, right. Not a coincidence.
Not a coincidence. There are some good. This year's slate of horror movies has been pretty good.
Yeah.
Especially with Sinners kind of leading the way, and then there's a couple that are coming up that I'm excited for. But we are here to talk The Quiet Shh, so I will let my co-host take it away.
Jake, you're going to enlighten us all and tell us, what is the quiet shh in your space?
Yeah, I think, I've been thinking about this in B2B, business to business marketing. I think I've never seen so much homogeneity, like everything is the same. I feel like we see kind of the same, almost like Mad Lib marketing messages from every company, and they just kind of change out this one word, but it's always like highest ROI, drive better outcomes, AI's your co-pilot, like I think the reason for that is, AI is creating a lot of marketing messages and copy now. So it's kind of the same guy doing all this stuff. But I also think like people are extra risk averse right now in our current market. So it feels safer to like copy what Salesforce did than like do your own thing,
So love what you touched on right there, where you said, well, if everybody's using AI, of course, there's going to be the formulaic ness to that, where it's sort of, if this is what everybody does, then this is what we get out of it. And then it comes down to the person actually defining and doing all of those pieces. But I want to touch on something that you said there. So you mentioned that it's this formula. You mentioned that it's this homogeneity, and now I've totally lost my train of thought. So I'm gonna pass it to Ben, and when it comes back to me, then I will
homogeneity.
I will ask the question.
Homogeneity is a distracting word. I distracted myself with it.
Like my train of thought has many cabooses, and oftentimes one gets left at the station when there's a transfer.
Love it. I was talking about this with somebody earlier today, Jake, this idea that in the advent of all of this technology, all of this information overload, right? All of this data that we're inputting into all these LLMs, we are craving efficiency, and we want to get back this product, this outcome that you were describing. And at the same time, there has never been more of a desire for human to human connection, that innovation, that spark from people's imagination, right? And I feel like as we're getting more efficient, we're potentially losing out on some of that. Are you feeling that?
Yeah, for sure. The other thing I was thinking about is like in the marketing space, like what we say as marketers, what we like put on our website matters kind of less than ever. Like I think what matters a lot more is what people in the market are saying to each other. Like to your point, there's all this like digital copy now. Anytime we're reading copy, we have no idea if a human being wrote it or if AI wrote it. But if somebody's on like their personal LinkedIn on video being like, here's a tool I use, here's like the results it's driven for me, I'm putting my reputation on the line, that doesn't scale with AI in a way that's really special. It's like that holds the same weight as it did, 5, 10, 30 years ago, but maybe even more so now that all these marketing messages are, there's more of them than ever, and they're more similar than ever, I feel. And that to be clear, that doesn't mean people like me shouldn't exist. Marketing is important, but our job becomes a lot more about influencing like our reputation in the market versus like telling people what our reputation is.
Yeah. Oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
no, go Ben. Actually,
I was gonna say it's what I'm hearing is it's more about the people to people influencing, right? And less about like people are just losing more and more trust, right? As we are on different products and we get served 3 times the amount of ads and the amount of space that we've been in, we're just being conditioned to start ignoring the message, right? And when you see a person say it, right, it's not those fake testimonials that you see for the law firms or the companies, but it's the, hey, I'm a user, I'm a consumer of this product. It is great for me. And that person has a really good audience as well. And that helps amplify those things. And that personal story of this did this for me with my problem seems to be amplified in a way that it hasn't been in a long time.
Yeah, and I think what's kind of exciting about that is like we started this conversation from a place of like AI is kind of making everything like boring and inauthentic and inorganic, but it's actually having this like rubber band effect where now we need more organic influence in the market. We need to kind of take an old school approach, and it's about people having conversations with each other.
well, and the word influence has been thrown around a lot, and I think one of the things that's would be curious from your vantage point, as somebody in this space is, influencer marketing is fairly new. Content marketing is in its iteration right now is newer, but it content marketing has always, for lack of a better word, existed because you had magazine pages that said this is why this thing is this, or you had Lipitor, and you kind of combined a whole bunch of things within marketing that was like, this is broader marketing, but now there's segmentation around skills and things like that. Um, but I think one of the things that I'd be curious to know, as somebody who oftentimes gets talked about as like you're an influencer, it has both a negative connotation to it,
Mhm.
but then there's also this other element. Like at the same time, we crave that human touch. We want that authenticity at a certain point in time. That balancing of your reputation, if you end up being called an influencer, is sort of an interesting thing. So I'd kind of be curious to know like what your take on the like influencer marketing versus content marketing, and how maybe those are on a collision course to be riding in the same car with one another.
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. I think um, like when we talk about influencers, yes, I mean like formal influencers, people who might identify and they charge for partnerships, but I also mean like people who don't do that, but they are influential in their community. But I think, oh, we lose Ben? Should I keep going?
Yeah, just keep going.
Okay. I think when why like influencer marketing has this kind of like yuckiness or bad rap is because people are doing it wrong. Like when you partner with an influencer, they have an audience that exists because they know their audience and they know how to speak to them. But then these companies will do a partnership where they say like hit all these keywords, hit 12 keywords. Like that's not going to be organic, and also the person is no longer thinking about the audience, they're thinking about the client. So the what you have to do when I've done influencer marketing is I like to let it be spicy. Like it's not a safe conversation, it exists on the internet, it's risky, the influencer can bring up their objections, their skepticism about a product, but at least that conversation is being hosted in a place that we are aware of and can see. And then all of that data can kind of come back and inform our marketing, and way more people will see it because there will be comments and discussions. Like, I would rather have, 30,000 people see a message I don't have complete control over than 100 see like this marketing copy I made an influencer say.
Well, and that's a really interesting thing, because we were talking to somebody earlier today in which they said, founders, especially in the B2B SaaS space, founders tend to feel like they need to control a lot because they've done it. So that risk tolerance might not be there. So from your side and your vantage point, how do you go to a founder or go to, a board and sort of say, like, look, we're going to take a dare here. I want you to trust that we know that this is a risk. We've assessed the risk. And how do you sort of sell people on that?
Yeah, and it's especially interesting because founders or the C-suite, they really want like numbers. Like they want to know how many leads are we going to get from this Instagram post or whatever. And that's, as much as we want it to work that way, that is not how it works. So I think getting them to getting alignment on the goal of the initiative. So if the goal is we need more leads this week, okay, then we just need to run ads. We just need to run pay-per-click ads, whatever. But the goal of influencer marketing is to expand your brand presence within a particular targeted community. Like, especially now, it used to be I'm an influencer to everything. Now it's all about these micro influencers and communities. So having the founder understand, really the metric there is eyeballs, like impressions, not leads. And from that point, you can make more headway in saying, hey, of course, this social post is going to get way more eyeballs on it if it sparks a discussion. So if it's a little controversial. Otherwise, we put something out safe. No one cares because they can tell it's an ad. No one sees it. Why did we even do it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not easy, but it's a place to start from.
Yeah, and it's a balance, right? Like, I'm going to ask one more question on the other side of that. How do you coach clients that want to chase the viral dragon?
So yeah. I think if you ask anybody in marketing, they'll sigh like I did.
Now I just feel like title for the episode, "Chasing the Viral Dragon," becomes like, maybe can we get a Peter, Paul, and Mary song made?
Yes,
off the viral dragon.
Maybe this is the quiet part, but like usually by the time anyone asks you to like chase a viral trend in your business, it's already too late. Like, you missed it. Like, by the time we've heard about it, like the 14-year-olds who control our entire digital life have already moved on. But I think it's what I like to do is take a step back, because somebody will be like, whether it's a client or a coworker, they'll be like, yeah, we want to jump on this viral trend. It's like, what are you trying to achieve though? And if it's, I don't know. So usually they don't have like a great answer for that. So that at least gets us back to kind of a realistic foundation to have a conversation.
Yep. Out of all of that, Jake, I heard 14-year-olds control my life.
I think I do. I think that secretly, like the architecture of the internet, like teenagers they move way faster than us. So like, ultimately the memes that make it to us have to be like filtered through the people who really run the internet. And unfortunately, we're a little too old to be in charge of it.
It's all right. I gave up on the idea of control a long time ago. Just let it happen. Let it happen. Which I think is a good spot to transition to our second question, Jake, which is, what's the quiet in your career?
Yeah, I think, I think that maybe what I've realized in this conversation even is that marketing needs to remain essentially human, because until AI is making purchasing decisions, And I was going to say because AI doesn't make purchasing decisions, but then I was like, you know what? In 10 years, it might. But for now, like you have to influence a human being to trust you. And so, yeah, we can use AI to get more done in our jobs. But I think you look out there and you see too many people are just like putting a prompt into ChatGPT and like putting it on their website and letting AI determine like what their best marketing message is. And that's, I don't think that's going to work long term.
I guess one question that I would throw to you there is, it used to be make sure your website and everything is SEO optimized.
Right.
Now you're starting to hear more and more dialogue of it being optimized for AI,
Yep.
which is, kind of an interesting piece as things expand that, it used to be like, make sure you have the right keywords. And now it's, it belabors me to think that somebody is going to say, this is an AI compliant resume. And you're just going to, everybody in our entire space or background is just going to collectively cry. Uh, we will drink we will drink our own tears for weeks. But it's to say that. I mean, what's your thought there when you kind of think about like what's the quiet part about your career?
About like, you mean the shift into generative AI optimization versus like traditional SEO or?
I mean, just I mean, I know I grouped a whole bunch of things there and circled back on the wrong thing, but it's just sort of like when you're thinking about your career and you're thinking about what got you to here,
Yeah, yeah.
the advice that you would give somebody else who's coming up, who's like, I want to be the next Jake, is something that you have seen that you might sort of say, hey, I skill pointed everything over into this like one thing. And
Hmm.
then I had to pivot. And of course, pivoting is usual and you have to
Yes.
learn, you have to move, but it's, here's what I'm seeing from experience and here's where I would go.
Yeah, I think I got some really good career advice early in my career. I started out in television. I worked at NBC Universal, worked for the Sci-Fi Channel for a while. But this TV exec I got to have an informational meeting with as an intern told me that I shouldn't plan out my career. I should take it one thing at a time and just keep doing the thing that I'm interested in and good at. And that really resonated with me. I think a lot of people are like, oh, I want to be, in marketing, maybe I want to be a CMO or I want to be an SEO specialist. Well, SEO's changed completely in the last like really 2 or 3 years. So that's one thing is I would say I think it's okay to not have this like perfectly mapped out 5-year plan. It might even be advantageous and more authentic for people to keep pursuing in the moment what they're interested in. And then the second thing of like, what do I think got me here? I don't think it's like technical skills or my degree or any particular like internship. I think it's empathy. Like I just care. I'm sensitive. I care a lot about people. And so every campaign I've worked on is grounded in like, who's the human being on the other side of the screen that's going to see this? And do they give a shit about this, or not?
Yeah. I mean, that's completely fair.
Yeah, I think it's I hope that was okay.
No, I mean, I think that it's, I think that it's a great pullout. I think that, one of the things that I've never been able to answer or address that question in an interview setting with like, whoa, well, what's your 5-year plan? And I'm like, there isn't a good way to say, or at least that I have figured out in professional, that's sort of like, you know what? I'm actually like, I'm curious to see what it is in 5 years. And I'm curious to like make sure that I have the skills that I'm going to need in 5 years to do that. Because I think if you come across as saying that, people don't see you as structure, or they're afraid that the opportunity that they're going to present to you is not an opportunity that you're going to want to take, because it's like, well, this how do I level up this person, how do I manage this person
Right.
when they're not even clear enough to be able to tell me what they want? And you're just sort of like, I just want to have the skills that I need to do the next thing as the next thing approaches, and we're not really sure about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. I also struggle with that question, but I usually, when I've been asked that question in previous job searches and interviews, I've told them about that advice I got because I just, like, I have to be authentic. Or like when they'll say, "What is your dream job?" The true answer is washing elephants. I wish my job was washing elephants. Like,
I can't get my dream job because it was to be a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, and I'm a little too old for that. But um,
exactly. What's
Ben,
yours, Ben?
what was yours? And then we'll have
Uh,
this, play us out.
my dream job. Uh, I don't know if I am allowed to say this. We might have to. We might have to edit this out.
Ben, we all know you wanted to be. It's okay. There are nicer ways to say stripper now.
Well, I wasn't gonna say that. It's close to that. I mean, and nobody wants to see this. Trust me. Uh, no, I joke with my wife because it was the job my wife had when I met her. And I didn't realize that was my dream job until I knew it was a real job, but it was bra fitting specialist at Victoria's Secret.
Yeah, see, like at that, at least this is very authentic for sure. I think so. Yeah, if someone's like, I don't know, if I was interviewing someone for a job and I'm like, what's your dream job? And they're like, marketing specialist. I'm like, you've got to dream bigger. Like,
You're,
are you okay?
you're sweet summer child.
Yeah, it's like on The Office when Dwight makes his second life character and it's just him. Like, and there's nothing, he's still an assistant manager, you know?
You gotta dream for things. But we gotta wrap this thing up. So Ben, why don't you play us
Yeah,
out?
Jake, where can folks find you?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn. Search Jake Link. That is my actual last name. And yeah, happy to connect with you there.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us. This has been another amazing episode of the Out Loud. Your two wizards. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
All right. Thanks.